Michelle with 2 L's.
And I'm Natalie the Red.
And I'm Canadian J-Bear.
And I'm Valiant Renegade.
And we are
Force of Light Entertainment. Sometimes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special Force of Light Live X-Files edition. I am joined by Steph, my nerdy home. Steph, thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're bonding about our love of the X-Files on Toxic Femme, so.
I know, so I figured I would reach out when I decided I was going to do this, and thought you'd be the perfect guest to have on, since, yeah, we have been discussing our love of the X-Files behind the scenes on Toxic Femme. But yeah, hope every one of you are out there today are having a good day. Let me go ahead and grab some of these super chats really fast before we get going. I see many of you out there, I've already seen in the chat, are big X-Files fans. Well, that's good. That's good. Many of you have heard me already kind of talk about it. Well, tonight we're going to get to dive in. But again, let me go ahead and grab these really quick. Brett, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I love the X-Files, and my favorite episode is the Mulder and Scully meet the Weir monster. The episode is basically an Alex Jones episode based off lizard people. Yes, I remember that one. That one was funny. That one was that they played that very comedically. That was in the revival. Yeah, that one was good, Brett. And Matthew with the $2 super chat. Thank you. My favorite is the million green spiders that glow. Yes, they've got that. And KB gifted 5 Force of Light Entertainment memberships. Well, thank you so much, KB. You know what? Even though it's not our Monday night, I'm still going to play the button for members. You guys know it's about to be. There we go. We're getting started right. But thank you guys for your super chats out there. Let's see. Oh, there's one more. And we've got GJJ, who's been a member for 3 months. If you meant to say something, just write it down. You don't have to say anything. Just, put it in all caps and I'll put it up. And then Cajun Corey gifted 1 Force of Light Entertainment membership. Thank you so much. Matthew gifted 1 Force of Light Entertainment membership. And before we get going, I am going to say I've already reached out. Andrew of the Science Fictionary podcast, him and I, we're going to be doing a special kind of deep dive into the spirituality of Star Wars. That's going to be a members exclusive. So definitely have turned on where you can be gifted a membership so you can join us there. But let me go ahead. You guys know what time it is. Let me hit it one more time. They know that's my favorite button. But thank you guys for gifting those memberships. Well, again, thank you everyone out there for joining us today. But we're going to be diving in. So I just watched, you guys know on this channel, we do a lot of first time watching reactions on this channel. Well, though I am not reacting tonight, we're going to be having a first time watching discussion as I just recently I actually started Mother's Day weekend and finished about 2 weeks ago. All night. Well, the first 9 seasons they did in the 90s and early 2000s, the 2 movies, and then the 2 revival seasons that they did. And I finished it all. And I wanted to be able to discuss it. And again, I wanted Steph to come on since I know she's a big fan of the X-Files. Well, Steph, you can tell, when did you get introduced into the X-Files?
I think when I was 13.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was 12 or 13, my cousins watched it and they were huge fans of the X-Files. And they asked me if I had ever seen it because I would check out books at the library of the Loch Ness Monster and aliens and things like that, books, paranormal books. And they were like, "Have you ever watched this?" I was like, "No, I don't know what it is." And so they introduced me to it and I started watching it. And yeah, that's when I was really young. So I would watch it and then I would watch reruns that would come on at night. I would watch those too. But yeah, I was obsessed with the X-Files for a really, really, really long time.
Yes. Well, my obsession has just begun, and I think it's here. I mean, I never do this. I hadn't even finished the X-Files, and I was and I have to really love something to do this. I just went and ordered. I wanted to have it. I've got it on Blu-ray. It was a show. It was so good, guys. I was like, I've got to have the hard copy of the X-Files, even though it is streaming on Hulu right now for any of you that are interested in that. But yeah, so let's get into what kind of makes this show great, because obviously this show was a cultural phenomenon when it came out in the 90s and still is. I mean, it's why they got revival seasons and 2 movies, and we're still talking about it to this day.
Oh my God, JB's spooky review is in the chat. Dude, I know you cover the X-Files on your channel. What is yeah, oh my God.
That's awesome. Well, good to have you.
What is up, dude? Oh shoot. I just got so excited.
I'm not familiar with JB, but very nice to have you here.
Yeah, he like goes over all of the episodes. I love the way he edits his videos. They're so great.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to check out his videos then.
Yeah.
And just go I'll probably binge your videos later tonight, JB, then is what it sounds like. But yeah, so watching this show. So again, this was my first time watching. I'd heard of the show my entire life. I knew of Mulder and Scully. They're pretty iconic. The look. I mean, you've got them up there. I've got them up there on the screen. But I never watched it. And I was on a channel. Actually, I was on the channel yesterday, Keto and Crime, and she had recommended that I watch the X-Files. She was just like, everything that she said, I really think you're going to like this show. And I decided, okay, you know what? It's on Hulu. I'm going to go ahead and check that out. And I began watching the X-Files, and I just love this show. And I know it's been a while since you've seen it, Steph.
Oh, it's been a long while. I wanted to go grab my box set. Do you want to see mine?
Yeah,
mine is different than yours. Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab my box set.
Okay, I'll keep talking. So, guys, like I began this show, and I was pulled in to the X-Files. I would say I was not even 10 minutes into the show, and I was like, I love the show, and I'm going to love the show. Because this show does not waste any time in really drawing you in as the audience. You meet Dana Scully, of course, played by Gillian Anderson, very, very early within the first few minutes of the show. And of course, you realize that she is basically by the FBI. She is being sent to basically kind of not derail Fox Mulder, but disprove his claims of the X-Files. And you find this, so it's just this interesting dynamic that you have from the beginning. And really, again, I knew I was going to love the X-Files right when it started. Watched that pilot episode, was hooked, and then just began to blow through all the seasons that there are. And there are, with the revival, let's see, there's 11 seasons of the X-Files and 2 movies. And I'd have to say that I thoroughly enjoyed pretty much all of it. Let me go ahead and grab these super chats while Stephanie grabs that. Let's see. Thank you so much for the $4.99. Best episode for me that has always stuck with me was the Fluke Man episode called The Host. That thing always freaked me out as a kid. Can you describe what episode that was? You don't have to send another super chat. Just give me a little description of it, and that way I will remember which one that episode is. Because I'm sure I will know it.
Oh my gosh. Was my mic on this whole time?
Oh, no. I just heard
making such a ruckus. I was like, I need to grab this.
I just heard you at the end. But let's see your box set.
Mine is this. So it's
yeah.
Yeah, it's this box set. When it released, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to grab that.
I like that.
Box. It's so awesome.
That is pretty cool.
I have no place to like display it, so it just sort of like sits inside of a cabinet.
Well, and you've got all your dolls too. Someone gave me the Barbies, which I love.
Yeah, I have the Barbies as well, and then like a bunch of like
the little figures.
Ones. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And then I have some from the movie as well. that I bought like when I was younger. So I have those.
Yeah. Oh, well, I want them. I've looked for them. That's the level of fandom that this show's
Do you?
created.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I have one that like I kept in the box. I love taking
Ooh.
all of my stuff out of the box. All right. I'm not an in-box collector, but I do have one movie like toy that I kept in the box because I didn't want to take it out. You
He's
have
got
that
the
box
box
set.
set.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Yeah, if you have not yet checked out JB Spooky Review, you need
I'm gonna
to.
have
He goes over. Yeah, you really do. It's such a great channel. I love the way he edits all of his videos together. It's so awesome. He has like the hugest crush on Scully.
Well, I mean, how can you not? I mean,
I know.
let's even get into that. So, like, what makes the show great? And again, as you were leaving, Steph, I was saying how the show, even in the pilot episode, they waste no time. Like, you're introduced to Dana Scully, then
Mhm.
Fox Mulder. They just set it up very good, very quickly, and then you're off.
Yeah.
And pretty much from the beginning, like, I was hooked within like the first 10 minutes of watching the show. Um, and I really appreciate something that's so, I think the show, one of the reasons it stands out is it's so unique in the sense of it is a science fiction, it's a mystery, it's a thriller, it's got horror elements. I mean, there are so many episodes throughout the X-Files where I know Dana Scully, I know that her and Mulder are going to be fine, and yet I'm kind of at the edge of my seat because they do such a good job of like things could jump out or someone's going to attack or there's so many thrills in the show.
Yeah. That speaks on
Yeah.
the writing because like right
Yes.
away, like you worry about these characters. That you fall in love with these characters right away, and you know that they're going to be fine, but they put them in these situations that it's like, oh my gosh, will they be fine though? Will they? Because
Yes.
things have happened to them in the past. They haven't like escaped from being hurt before, right?
Yes.
Like Mulder's shot in one episode, like he's there. There's things have happened to them that you're like, oh my gosh, please make it through. Like you really care about this duo. I love when like they're introduced. She's kind of like the counter to Mulder. Mulder believes like
Yes.
everything. He has an explanation for everything based on like the paranormal, right? And Scully is more like grounded. She's like, no, there is a rational explanation for this, and let me explain it to you, Mulder. They clash, and their clash is like really good in the way they play off of each other.
Yes.
Because she's not talking to him, especially like in the early like season 1. I love season 1. But like in season 1, like when she's like talking to him, it's not like she's like talking down to him and trying to like sort of like explain to him like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he believes this stuff, no, she's like rationalizing things. She's like, well, it could be this, and she's kind of like almost a teacher to Mulder.
Yes.
So instead of sort of like talking down to Mulder and like sort of thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he thinks these things, right? Instead of like speaking to him like that, and sort of like diminishing his beliefs and things, she sort of like tries to teach him, so it doesn't come off condescending on her part. Because if it had come off that way, especially since she's sort of like a foil to him, right? Like she's a non-believer, he believes. It could have not worked, right?
Oh,
it could have
absolutely.
not worked. Yeah, she could have come off like a bitch, but it doesn't. She doesn't. It works so well with those two. They have such strong chemistry too.
Oh, yes. Well, and that gets into, I mean, obviously we've already hit on the writing. Chris Carter does such a good job. And I would say for me, okay, I enjoyed all of it. So there's nothing, when I make the statement, there's nothing I did not enjoy throughout all of it. There's things that I would, have changed, but I still enjoyed it. But with that being said, the first 5 seasons in particular is some of the best written and acted television I have watched in a very long time. It was just phenomenal television, and it holds up for me today. Yeah, sometimes the special effects, but whatever, you don't care. Like the story is so immersive.
It's the 90s.
It's the 90s.
It's like the 90s. They did well for the 90s.
It was 90s TV.
Yeah.
But
so for a TV show, I mean, it was really good.
Yes. And it's like you don't even care though because
Yeah.
the writing is so good in the show. And something else I want to say that just grabs you right immediately that we all would recognize, the theme song. What a
Mhm.
dang good theme song.
I know,
mean,
yeah.
it is excellent, and Mark Snow, he did a fantastic job throughout the entire series of scoring the show because back to what I was saying of how they put them in these intense situations constantly, one of the things that helps those thrills is Mark Snow's music. The music was excellent in the series. But yes, going on to what you're saying about these characters. So, what makes a great show? Yes, you want a good story, you want a good plot, which you have, I believe, with the show.
Mhm.
But what makes, I think, a show so memorable comes down to, do you want to spend time with these characters? And the question is answered for me pretty immediate of yes. You have two fascinating, well-written, well-acted, fleshed out characters and Dana Scully and Fox Mulder, but played by two fantastic actors who are both stunningly beautiful people.
Oh, I know.
I mean, good Lord. And that first pilot, like I always knew that David Duchovny was good looking, but like she walks in and his side profile, and I was like, man, that is a good looking man. And I mean,
Yeah.
she is a stunningly gorgeous woman.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, still,
Absolutely.
still is like, will just die a beautiful woman.
Mhm.
And, down the road, whenever that is, I'm saying. Um, but so you have these beautiful people and played by two great actors. And it's like you're saying, I think you and I probably think the same. You think of how they would write a character today, and
Yes.
we would not get, sadly, a Dana Scully character like we got in 1993. And
Right.
something that stands out to me, Steph, and you can kind of give me your thoughts on her character. Yes, she is this highly intelligent, they make her the rational one. She's hyper rational.
Mhm.
But then I love the differences they play of where Dana is skeptical about everything they're
Yeah.
seeing, and
Especially in the first season. Oh my gosh, that
yes,
drove me crazy.
yes, and where Mulder is open to everything,
Mhm.
but then they gave him this unique thing because, me as a Christian, I really appreciate they make Dana Scully this very devout Catholic who
Yeah.
very much believes in God. She doesn't believe in anything else, but she believes in God. And then on the flip of that, you've got Fox Mulder who believes in everything but God.
But God.
And so it's this interesting dynamic. But you also have again with Dana and this character they wrote. What I love about her, and you can again speak on this, is yes, she's this highly intelligent character, but one, she's not a Mary Sue. She gets in trouble all the time. She gets beat
Mhm.
up multiple times. She's not always right. And but then also she is just played the character of Dana Scully has so much grace. And that's something I feel they don't do a good job often today with female characters. They're kind of abrasive. It's kind of that girl boss thing where Dana Scully is so capable, so intelligent, so good at her job, but yet there's so much grace, and her vibe is just there's a meekness to Dana Scully that like you go with her, like you really enjoy her character. She's not abrasive, she's not a know-it-all. She really, there's something very relatable about her character.
Well, she's human. I think that, like, on top of giving her those characteristics of, being smart, highly capable, she's also, like, extremely caring, which I don't think
Yes,
that, like,
yes,
nowadays in characters, especially women characters that are written today, they don't have that sort of gentleness to their
yes,
characters. Dana Scully still has that. Even though she's incredibly capable and incredibly intelligent, and she can take care of herself, she's also, like, very gentle. She cares
very.
about she cares about the people in her life. She cares about Mulder. That episode where her
Mhm.
dad dies, like, she it shows, like, she's very close to her family, like, that she's uh she has a gentleness to her. Nowadays, those female characters, especially the way they're written, they don't have that. They
No.
don't have that. And she's actually like, she starts to become like very kind of open to Mulder's sort of way of thinking and ideas, especially after having experiences on her own, right? Her own experiences and, you know, things that sort of like make her question if what Mulder is saying is true. And, you know, she starts to kind of like open up to the possibility of, you know, sometimes things just can't be rationalized, right? Like,
yes.
So she's in that way, she's able to say like, well, I could be wrong. Whereas characters that are written today, there's no way they can't be wrong. They just can't. They have to be right all the time. And like I was saying earlier, like when she's first introduced, the character could have, if they were to write her today, right?
She'd be very abrasive.
She'd be incredibly abrasive. She'd be a know-it-all. She'd be talking down to her partner. If this show, if they like not continued it on like they did, but rewrote it
with modern writers.
Yes, with modern writers, it would come off very different.
It would. Absolutely. Totally agree. So you've got Dana and then you've got Fox, and Fox is equally in his own right, because really the X-Files is actually technically Fox's story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because that is something that was unique about X-Files. I guess the X-Files back in 93 was kind of the first show to be a standard procedural that also has an overarching story that it keeps telling. And I do love how they kind of do it. There'll be like maybe 4 or 5 episodes of Monsters of the Week.
Oh, I love the Monsters of the Week episodes.
I do too. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then you've got those overarching stories. And again, it really is kind of technically Fox's story.
Mm-hmm.
But with the character of Fox Mulder, you have this guy who is brilliant, because that's the thing. Fox is brilliant. He has a photographic memory. He was a psychologist, you know, top of the field. And because of his belief, because of his desire to find the truth that is out there, as they always put at the end of the opening, he basically has been totally sidelined. He's literally in the basement of the FBI. Yeah. They call him Spooky Mulder. No one really believes in this man at all. And even though he's seen real things and he does good work, and no one believes in him. And when you first meet him, and really for the first many seasons, and both Dana, and that's good writing, both Dana and Fox definitely change as the seasons go on and evolve as characters should, or as people we should in general. But when we first meet Fox, he is pretty kind of a depressed man, I would say. Like he doesn't really, he's not adulting very good. Like he doesn't even have a bed that he sleeps on for like the first 6 seasons. He sleeps on his couch. Like he's not exactly got life together.
His apartment is iconic.
It is iconic. But he's not exactly he's like just so focused on his work. Like that's all that consumes Fox Mulder. It's all consuming to this man. And where Dana has a life, like you said, she's got her family. She's they have in the beginning, especially kind of would she date someone type situation, where Fox is just so about his work. And I would say that ultimately Dana begins to become more that way, where she gets so intrigued by, and that is something else you have to love about this character. And it speaks to kind of the morality of going back to Dana's character. So many people, in fact, most people, if they were sent by the FBI to discredit basically this person, and if you do so, you're going to climb up the ladder, that's the route they would have taken. But Dana Scully from the beginning, she just can't really do that. That's just not, that goes against her moral compass. She's going to be truthful about what she finds. And eventually I feel like she as much cares about finding the truth as Mulder, as she begins to kind of hunger and see, oh, there is truth out there. Even though she may not quite believe it, yet there's still like a deep desire to pursue it. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
No, I agree. I think like when you're going back to like when they first kind of like set up Mulder's character, right? They tell her all these things about him. But he brings like this like kind of like lovableness to
Yes.
his character. He knows what people thinks about him. He doesn't really care. He kind of plays into it. And he cracks jokes a lot at his expense. Like his character, you think like, oh my gosh, we're gonna come across like this conspiracy theorist, right? He's gonna be so crazy, but he's not. Like
No.
he treats every single case like a case, like with seriousness, and he is highly intelligent.
Mhm. He's brilliant. He's
Yeah,
brilliant.
he's brilliant. Like he knows all of these things.
Yes, like by
Yeah.
memory, can just quote
Yeah,
him.
he can like instantly pull from something. He's like, no, you don't understand. This comes from this case back in the 1950s when this happened. He just like pulls from his memory. Yeah, he's so highly intelligent, and you think that you're going to meet like this basket case crazy person, and he's not. He's very lovable. I think that's why like they play out, and sometimes you kind of catch it with some of their scenes together. He starts to kind of like rub off on Scully, so she starts like cracking
Yes.
jokes yeah.
Yes,
So
because Scully's very serious in the
yeah, she's
beginning.
very serious, but you can kind of see him sort of like start to rub off on her.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. Yeah, so you just have again, and that for me is what makes the show. That's where even in say the revival, or even in seasons that maybe aren't quite as well written as the first 5 that I think are some of the best television there is. But I mean,
Mhm.
that's a high bar. It's like you're so invested in these 2 characters that you're still so intrigued because you fall in love with these 2 characters and you want to go on this, you just want to spend time with them, basically. Which again, speaks to well acted characters. So we can't not talk about I guess there's 2 different camps in the X-Files fandom. There were the fans that want them just to be a platonic work relationship. And then there's the me's of this world that are like, heck no, like they totally love each other and belong together. So which side do you fall?
I fall in the camp that I want them to remain like just, partners, associates.
Oh
It
man.
would be so awesome. Like in the movie, oh my gosh, it was such a big deal when they almost kissed and then she
Oh,
got
it's a big
stung by
deal.
the bee. And you can kind of see the disappointment in his face, like, oh,
Yeah.
don't worry. Like, dang it, we almost kissed, it didn't happen. That like took me, but then I'm like, no, they can't have a romance. If they have a romance and things go sour, like they can't do that. It takes away from sort of like the tension between them, and I love
Oh,
that
there's tension.
yes, and I love that tension between them. And I fall into the camp of I don't want them. No, I like them as colleagues, I like them as work associates. And I like the tension between them, the fact that whenever, I don't know, like Scully has a date or Mulder has somebody, like the looks that they give each
The
other.
jealousy.
Yes, the jealousy. I like that, but it's kind of like they know that they can't, they're colleagues, if they work together, so it could never happen, even though like they get jealous of someone with another person. So I like, and I think that like if you also like if they got that tension would just go away.
Okay, but were you fine with them getting together as late as they did?
Right. Well, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. But like earlier, I don't think it would have worked like
No.
earlier.
They needed to make that happen down the road.
Yeah.
Which
Down
they
the
did.
road is cool, but like throughout like the show, I don't know. I liked it when they were partners because you got like those sassy comments from them, and yeah, it really worked. I don't know.
Well, it definitely did. And it's one of those, it's kind of like you said, they knew they couldn't.
Yeah.
Because when you really watch the show, it's like they almost speak in code and you have to kind of pay attention. Because it's so obvious, and that's why I'm just like, I'm a total shipper. I'll just be real. Like I'm definitely a shipper of the 2 of them. But for writing purposes, I do believe it's good. You let that tension just keep building. Now there's a point I feel I deserve my kiss and you do get it. You get it, and then you're thrilled because it's so earned at that point.
Yeah.
Because you do see through the years that they are more than just platonic work friends. Like they truly do. When I watch the show, I think it's why for me, like you love this romance. I love a romance, and you do love the romance that is building, though they don't act upon it for until much later into the show, because you just see how much they love each other. I mean, literally, a scripture comes to my mind when you watch these two, that there's no greater love than that that you would lay down your life for your friend. And it's like these two constantly put themselves, and that's out of a place of love, put themselves in harm's way for the other. And I think there's just something that's so timeless, that's so appealing about watching two people that have such a deep love for one another.
Yeah.
So I'm a big shipper. I was very happy when they finally get together. We'll just say that. And some of the teasing, I'm like, oh gosh, just give it to us at this point. But like you said, I would not have gotten them together until I could have gotten together, like they basically do, kind of around the 7th season in their own way. Like I would say at the beginning, if you go back and watch at the beginning of the 7th season, in a Scully and Mulder way, they confess their love for one another. But again, I am
like
glad.
you even said, they kind of like speak to each other in like this
In
sort
code.
in code. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And then there's just
interesting,
a
like,
lot
how,
of unspoken.
yeah, it's interesting how like that sort of happened relatively quickly.
Yes.
Oh,
no, it definitely happens quickly. I would say, because you see how much like he cares, and ultimately I would say, when I use the word love here, I'm not even saying it was necessarily romantically love. But he definitely loves her, even at the beginning of season 2, when like she almost dies. And you really see like how much he cares for this person. And again, that can just be in a partnership type friend way.
Even when, like, I think before that, isn't there an episode, like an early episode where Mulder gets shot?
I believe so.
I think he like gets shot wait, what episode? He like gets shot. They're chasing after somebody and Mulder gets shot. And she's like yelling at the people in the hospital. Like,
yes.
I think there's an episode where he gets shot.
Well,
I don't know. I
and
could
at the
be
end
like
of season,
confusing and just combining a bunch of
different seasons.
Yeah. I could have sworn that there's an episode where he gets shot and she's like freaking out.
Yeah, well, no, that is definitely, I'm trying to think when it is, but no, that definitely does happen. Well, and at the end of season 1, I believe they kidnap Mulder, and you see her fright for him. And again, I know it's more of at that point a friendship type love, but there's definitely just a deep love between these two throughout the show that you appreciate watching. It's innocent, and I mean, actually a beautiful thing to watch. So I really like that. Can you think, how many times have you watched this stuff? Just once, or?
I don't know, intermittently, like for a few years, I'll go in and out of the series. So I watched it a lot when I was younger, but it's been years since I've sat down to like watch it like you have. I've watched the movie a lot because that's something I can just like kind of sit down and watch it. And I think I've watched like maybe the first 4 seasons the most, as opposed to like the beyond that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you pick since you watched the first 4 the most, do you know your favorite season out of those 4? See, this is something because I'm going to, like, I finished it. I started watching Twin Peaks. I'm going to finish Twin Peaks, and then I'm going to do a rewatch of X-Files, because for me, X-Files like immediately became a comfort show, because that's the interesting thing. Though they put them in danger, there's something comforting about the show. Like it's cozy all at the same time. But I definitely, that's something I will be able to say, I would say by a second watch, I'll be able to nail down like what season I like the best. Because currently I can just say, well, the first 5 seasons are some of the best TV I've watched. But I will be able to be more specific with a second watch, I would say.
I think like for me, I think the X-Files for season 1 is probably closer to my heart because like I got introduced to it. And those have some of my favorite episodes in it, but I like season 3. Season 3 is probably my favorite season.
Okay, I'm gonna pay attention to that when I rewatch it then. Is there any episode that stands out to you?
In X-Files? Oh.
I can tell you one that I really liked. I believe it was called, or no, it's called Ice in season 1, where they do like their take on the
where
thing.
they have like yeah, that's a good one.
It was a really good
one. Ice is so good.
It is.
Because it's so like claustrophobic.
It is so close. And I just loved it because I like the thing. And yes, and really, I think that's kind of the first episode that they truly, they trust each other. Like it's a very bonding episode in its own way for the two of them. This is a good question. Do you all prefer the Monster of the Week episode or the alien mythology arcs? So I like some monster episodes, but like the Alien of the Week, I like some of the monster episodes, but like I like the alien mythology arc. Yes. So here's the way I describe it. So the Monster of the Weeks, I loved. They could be so much fun. There's a lot of relationship build. And by relationship, I'm not even saying romantically. I'm just saying their relationship being built up and us getting to know these characters more. But then it's those mythology arcs again, where you get the to be continued episodes where like, I'm pretty sure I lost sleep because of the X-Files, because if it was 11 o'clock at night and it said to be continued, I was going to continue.
Right? Yeah.
Because you had to. You were like, well, what's going to happen next? It really, so I loved those to be continued episodes that really furthered the alien mythology of the show.
So I like Ice a lot. But the
Ice
one
was
where
good.
But because it's fresh on my mind because I just, talked about Scully and how she, is close with her family. But the episode where she loses her dad.
Yes, that was a good one.
That's a really good one. It has that guy from Lord of the Rings in it, as like the prisoner who's about to get executed. And the part that like the reason it sticks out in my mind is because she like wakes up and her dad's like speaking and he's not saying anything. Do you remember that?
Hold on. Say that again.
It's the episode where her dad dies. It's such a great episode. But like she wakes up and her dad is like sitting in a chair. Like they leave. I guess like her parents are visiting her or something. And then like she wakes up and her dad is like sitting in the chair and he's talking to her, but he's not saying anything. And she thinks that like they came back.
Yes.
But he's actually dead. And then she gets like a call from her mom saying that like, oh, he passed away.
Yes.
Yeah. So that episode always like sat with me, because you hear about like when people that are close to you, when people who are close to you or are like your close family members, your close friends, you hear people's stories about how they had like, they had a dream and they dreamt about their family member or something happened and, they had like this vision or whatever. And then it ends up that like, oh, that family member died or that best friend died. You hear like these stories. Yes. Everybody has a story. Right. And that's kind of like, that episode always stuck with me because of that.
Do you know what sticks out to me about that episode? Again, you see what I like in the show. I think that's the first time he calls her Dana. He just calls her by her name.
Because, I don't know, really?
Because up until that point, it was always Scully or Mulder.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the first time he just refers to her, which again was building, showing the foundation of the relationship of it becoming a little more personal. But I do believe it's in that episode where her father dies.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't remember that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that episode, I don't remember all the details of that episode because it was so long ago, but I remember like that it's always kind of stuck with me about the episode where her dad dies, just because of that visual that they give you where like she wakes up and he's in the chair and he's sort of like talking, but he's not saying anything. That's always stuck with me, like that visual. And then, the psychic. And what's interesting about that episode too, oh my gosh, is that Mulder, like Dana is the one, they kind of like switch spots.
Yes, because he never believes in psychics.
He doesn't believe this.
Yes.
No, he believes in psychics, but he doesn't
not
believe
that one.
Not that one. He thinks that like, oh, he's just, trying to get out of his execution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they switch sides where Dana like kind of, she believes him, right? Because of like the vision that she had, and it's still freaking her out a little bit. And then he tells her something like when they're leaving about her dad. I think he tells her something, or I don't know. But she kind of believes that he's the real deal. And Mulder's trying to like, no, he's not. He doesn't believe that he is.
Yes. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I do remember
that
one.
was such a really cool thing how they kind of like switch.
Yeah, no, that one is good. And now that I'm thinking of it again, I've only seen it one time, so I'll know more episodes. But when I watch it a second time, ones that stand out to me, and I forget the name of it, but it starts in the first season and then he comes back in the second season.
Mhm.
It's the serial killer that's like he only comes out like every 50 years. And
oh my god,
he can like shapeshift.
Yeah, he can shake. That one's creepy.
That one was creepy.
Yeah, that
Toombs.
creepy.
His name's Toombs or something like that. But yeah, that one was creepy. And then also, I mean, we're women. We like serial killer stuff. It is what it is. I also like the one with the serial murderer who's like, your hair looks like it needs a good conditioning. And you're like, stay away from my hair. Stay away from every woman's hair. That guy is such a creep.
Yeah. The guy that plays Toombs is really good too.
He is.
That actor is really good.
They had, and yes, it is all currently streaming on Hulu except the 2 movies, which I'm like, why can't we get the 2 movies at Disney? What are we doing with that? Yeah, Toombs. Yeah, that one. It was really good. Yes, yeah, both of those were excellent. What was I gonna say? How did you feel going back to the overarching story? Were you satisfied with the overarching story of the alien situation and with Mulder's sister? Because that's really what starts his quest.
Oh, I love the conclusion of Mulder's sister.
And that comes in season 7.
Yeah, I actually like the conclusion of his sister, but like it's always still there, right? He's still going to continue on, even though he sort of had that sort of like resolution. It's interesting how you find out what happened to his sister, right? Because you're introduced to that. What do they call themselves? The group of people with like, Mulder's dad. Mulder's dad had to like
they're like at the syndicate or something like that.
I can't remember what they call themselves, but like how he finds out that like Mulder's dad actually offered up his sister. It was supposed to be Mulder or something, but like Mulder was too old.
Well, I think it was like
right?
the dad preferred Mulder.
Oh, I can't remember.
And was just like, take her. Okay, he says, I was right, the syndicate.
Okay. Yeah, I love how you find out about the syndicate and like the plan and why it was Mulder's sister.
Yes.
And then what did you think about how it was like a bunch of clones of her?
Yeah, I feel like
cloning thing.
It's like it didn't really bother me, but they kept like playing with you. Like because like at one point he even meets one of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm your sister, but I'm not ready to hang out. And then they just kind of drop that thread and you're like, well, and then of course you figure out that his actual sister died when she was like, what was it? Like 13, 14, 15, somewhere in her teens. And they kind of play around with that at times. Like it was still fascinating, but then you feel like they're kind of playing with your emotions a little bit on some level.
We're playing like with our emotions and Mulder's too.
Yes. Well, I didn't
mind the cloning type storyline. I didn't mind it, but it was kind of, I don't know. It was just weird. I think it is because like they're playing on your emotions and oh my gosh, when will Mulder get closure? Like this isn't his sister, it's a clone. It's kind of frustrating. But
And
when you find out that,
they've got clones all the way up because he finds those little, like the clones that at the age of when she disappeared.
Yeah.
And then there's a grown-up clone.
there's a grown-up one. Yeah, they're all different ages of his sister. It's so crazy. But it's an interesting dynamic to see how he like sort of reacts to each one, but it's also disappointing because they're just clones. And
Yes.
he continues on to like try and find his sister when he finds out like she's dead. And what do they call them? What do they call them? Like she turned like what do they call them? What she kind of like turned into? They
Well, I mean, she's just straight up a clone, I believe, like mixed with some kind of alien DNA, I believe. They don't fully give you that answer, I don't think, necessarily. If there's an answer, I feel that JB will know it and will let us know. Let's see. And I will say this, we haven't brought him up. You can't have a great show like this and not have a great villain. And the Smoking Man is a phenomenal villain for a TV show, because when I thought they'd killed him off in season 5, like my heart was kind of like, well, that's sad, because he's such a good character and of course he's not dead, but he's such a good character that you don't want him to die.
Yeah.
Like you don't trust him, but yet sometimes you kind of like are like, I got to work with this guy. They have to. And he's just, I don't know, the guy just does such a great job of portraying this villain.
It's the arrogance to him, I think. I love it. It's his arrogance. Like nothing can happen to me. Nothing can touch me. I'm too high up. I know too much. Like, you know, I'm just gonna play with this little guy. Like he poses no. Mulder poses no real threat.
Yes, he says that. He says that multiple
times.
Yeah. And then how did you feel to find out that the Smoking Man is actually Mulder's biological father?
That I didn't like it.
Yeah, like it was I mean, I didn't care, but it was like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I was like, why? Why did they need? No, it was unnecessary. I didn't like it.
Well, yeah, and then you find out his sister like was raised by him for a while.
Yeah.
And you're just like, good Lord.
I didn't like it. I was like, that's so dumb. Why did they have to go there? Like he's already a great villain, a great antagonist. Like you don't need to make you don't need to have there be like a familial connection between the two. I don't know. I just thought it was unnecessary.
He definitely did not need it. It's absolutely. And that's the thing. There's like things like that I could pick on with the show. But again, because the overarchingness of it is so good, you just go with it. You're just like, okay.
At that point, it's like, whatever. I've invested a lot of time into this.
I've invested. I love these characters. I love the theme song. I love the world they've established. I'm fine with it. It is what it is, type thing. And let's see, what are other reoccurring? You've got the Lone Gunman and you've got Skinner.
Dude, the Lone Gunmen are freaking awesome.
I
love the Lone Gunman. I love the Lone Gunman. If for anything, I just love saying the name Frohike.
And they were also quirky in their own way. Like they all brought something very unique to the show. Yeah, I appreciated the Lone Gunman, definitely. And then Skinner. Skinner was a good character. Like you didn't know, can we trust Skinner? Can we not trust? And then you realize you really can.
Yeah,
but
you can trust Skinner.
They do a good job of making him a little sketchy at times. You're not really sure, but yeah, overall, let's see, the Lone Gunmen are the best.
Yeah, they are. I just love the name Frohike. Like
Frohike.
I just love. I'm like, dude, that is awesome. Frohike. Like I love, if anything, just to say that name. But no, the Lone Gunmen are awesome. I feel like for every crazy, you have to have like sort of like a rational with his head. With his head on his shoulder. So like the Lone Gunmen are sort of like the opposite of Skinner, right? They're still associates to Mulder and Scully. They still want to protect them. They're still, friends of them, but they're so different. I love when Scully is first introduced to them too.
Yeah, because she's like, what the heck? Like, what is this? Like she really is not sure. She's already not necessarily sure of Mulder, and she's like definitely not sure of this.
Yeah.
But you appreciate that she grows to like them, and they earn her trust as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
the lone gunmen are great. And then I will say, and this is nothing against Chris Carter or anyone in the show. This is, I guess, against the studio of Fox, not Fox Mulder, 20th Century Fox back in the day. So I, binge watching the show. I just see there's 11 seasons. I'm cruising along. I finished season 7. I'm still loving life. And then I watched the first 2 episodes of season 8. I'm like, where's Mulder? Why is he not back? And that's when I Google and find out that David Duchovny had like a contract dispute and like basically he comes back for half of that season.
Yeah.
But then he's like only in 2 episodes of the finale season. And I will be honest with you, Steph. I will be honest. I took like a week off and watched the Golden Girls in between because like I'm pretty sure in that week I passed through the 5 stages of grief.
Oh no.
Because I did not see, I was not mentally prepared. My heart was not ready for that. My mind was not ready for that. And I was like brokenhearted that I didn't just get the continuation after season 7. And that's where like, and I actually enjoyed the ending of the when I say the ending of the series, I mean before the next movie and the revival. But actually, let's get into that. What they had these 2 movies.
Okay.
I know you've said you've watched
before that. What
Okay.
did you think of Agent Doggett?
He was fine, but like my heart was too broken to love again. My heart was too upset over the fact that it was not Dana Scully and Fox Mulder that I couldn't care because and that's where watching it. When I watch a second time, I'm going to give those episodes actually a chance. I'll be honest with you. I skipped through. I watched the first episode of season 9 and then skipped to the 2 final episodes with Mulder because I was just like, I'm here for 2 people, Fox Mulder and Dana Scully. And if they're not in it, I don't care. Like, but I probably will give those a chance. But what did you think of them?
I didn't like him.
You didn't like him?
I didn't mind him. I thought that going back, because I think I jumped into those seasons when I was a little bit older. Like, but I didn't mind him. But because I like jumped into those when I was a little bit older, I was thinking to myself like, oh, okay, so it's like we're starting all over again where Scully's the believer.
Yes.
And Doggett is the new, non-believer, like the new rational one. And I was just like, oh, I've already seen this.
That's where I was. You're just like, where's Fox Mulder? Like, I don't care how much money this man wanted. Just give it to him, Fox.
Mhm.
Like, he deserves it. The show is these 2 characters. Give him what he asked for. But yeah, I understand that. So I will actually watch those episodes and give them more of a chance on a second watch, knowing that that's coming and mentally being able to prepare for that.
Yeah, I need to re-watch it because what I'm saying now is like how I remember feeling when I watched it, like when he was introduced. I'm like, I've already seen this.
Well, you have.
Yeah.
They just flip it to where all of a sudden Dana is now the open one. So yeah, and I mean, I'd say they did good for the circumstances. It's just we wanted Fox Mulder at the end of the day. So what did you think of the 2 movies? Because I will say I thought the first movie was phenomenal. Like genuinely love it. Think it's fantastic. The second movie, it's not as good, but because at that point I love those characters so much, I'm just invested for the characters.
I liked the first movie the most.
Definitely.
Yeah. For sure. The first movie I loved the most. I watched that movie over and over and over. I watched that movie a lot, actually. And the second movie I've seen like maybe 2 or 3 times. But what I like about the second movie is that they wanted to make a movie based on the Monster of the Week. Like
yes, they did.
That's what they wanted to do with the second movie. And I know a lot of like fans didn't like that, but I appreciated that.
Yeah, I did too. I appreciate that, and I appreciate at that point you do fully get them as a relationship, which I was there for. I was excited about that. So I enjoyed that aspect. And of course it ends with them on a vacation together. So I did enjoy that, but the first movie is fantastic. I mean,
the first movie's great.
It's great.
I love the first movie.
Yeah, it is so good. And that second one, of course, coming years after the series had ended. But it's so good.
It actually took me a while to watch the second movie just because I had heard like people say that it wasn't good. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to see it if it's not good, because then it'll like sort of diminish the X-Files for me. So I don't want to see the movie. It took me a while to watch that movie.
Yes. Yeah, and let me put this up. What I hate about the second movie is it did not answer anything about the yes, it doesn't address the overarching
that was
story.
intentional though. They didn't want to. Yeah, it was very intentional.
Yes, and it does it. I still enjoyed it though. And then what about the revival seasons? I know they're mixed with people.
I've only watched the first one.
I probably enjoy it. I feel like they found their stride a little more in the second one.
Okay.
In a way.
I need to watch it then because I haven't watched it.
Okay, I won't ruin it for you because they do make a decision that I don't love, that none of the fans loved. And you'll just figure that out when you watch it. You'll know what the decision is. But it still doesn't kill the story for me in any way. Here's my feeling about the revival. After going through those seasons where they're no longer together, when I mean no longer together, I mean David Duchovny's not on the show. It was so nice to have the two of them back together as the focus of the X-Files. And because of that, again, because I love these characters so much, it overcomes weaker story elements. That's kind of the way I would describe the revival. So I don't think the revival seasons are near the top-notch writing that we've had previously, but I still found it fun and enjoyed watching them, and very much enjoyed just getting these two characters and two actors back together because, and going back to, again, whether you ship them or don't ship them, at the end of the day, David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson had chemistry that's it's special. Like they have their on-screen chemistry is off the charts. So when they're together, like again, it can overcome a multitude of sins in the writing because the dynamic of the two of them is so good for me. But that is my thoughts on the revival. But yeah, you have to watch the last season. Let me know what you think. I don't think you'll like the decision I'm thinking of because I don't think most fans did. But I didn't mind I actually didn't mind the ending though. They kind of throw a curveball at you, but you expect curveballs in the X-Files. It's chocked full of curveballs.
Yep.
A last thing I want to say, too, something that made the show, going back to the beginning, that stood out to me as being unique, especially with kind of a procedural type show. This is a show where they often don't make it in time. And if you let me explain what I'm saying. So often in shows, the good guys make it just in time to save whoever it is. In the X-Files, it's 50-50. They might make it in time. They might not make it in time. And I think that was actually smart because it keeps the stakes feeling higher throughout the series.
Yeah, they don't always have wins. They don't always have answers.
Yes. And I think that bothers some people that they don't always answer, but I actually like it because that's part of the fun. It's mystery. The truth is out there.
Like, is it true? Is it real? Is it not? I don't know. We'll never really know the answer. Yeah, like it's supposed to be about the paranormal, and really, is it true? Is it real? I don't know. Aliens, are they really out there? Are they? We don't know. Right. So like I don't mind that. I actually like that. I don't mind. I don't need all the answers. Right.
Yes.
I don't mind that. I don't
Yeah,
mind that it's up in the air, that they don't have a win this time or they didn't solve the case this time. There are other shows out there that if you want that in your show, you can go like those are shows,
they exist.
that exist, right? These they don't always find the answer. They don't always solve the case. They don't always have wins. Sometimes there's things that are left up in the air. Sometimes they never solve it. Sometimes Mulder sees something, or oftentimes Mulder will see something and Scully won't, right? So like,
Yes. And then they always make it on the reverse when it's like dealing with spiritual or faith stuff. She sees it and he doesn't see it. Yeah. But it was just dang good. Let me grab these super chats really quick. And thank you so much again for the $1.99. And I know that one goes back with this one of the host. And you said it is season 2, episode 2. I will keep that in mind when I do my rewatch to see what episode that is. But thank you so much. And thank you. Is that a pound? So I think that's a pound. Steph, do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you for the £1. Let's see. Let me see if I can find what your super sticker was. Let's see here. I can't pull it up for some reason. I apologize about that. And Albert, thank you for the $5 super chat. If they did it today, Scully would always be right and Mulder would be an idiot. Yeah. Same with Jag. Both are great examples of how to write a female and male team. I've never watched Jag, actually.
Oh, Toto brings up a good point. Like sometimes they'll find out and then the bad guys take away all their evidence.
Yes, that happens a lot to them.
That happens a whole lot. Yeah.
Yes. Because sometimes like Mulder loses his mind because it's like right there and he's got the proof and then it's just lost. But yeah, no, that definitely happens to them. And thank you, Albert. And thank you for the £2. When Mulder files into rage with Scully return. When Mulder flies into rage when Scully returned. Are you talking about in season 2? I think you are talking about season 2. Let me know. You don't have to send another super chat, but just let me know. And thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I'm a Christian too and also love Scully. Skepticism is important, and I get that she's there to go ground Mulder, but at times she near dismissive towards Mulder, especially early on. She can be very dismissive of Mulder. And what I like about it is that it annoys Mulder. At times he's almost cold he's a little sharp with her because he's fed up with her crap of not believing what she is seeing. And that actually is how you feel as the audience. Though you love Dana, you're like, Dana, like, come on, honey. It's right in front of your face.
Yeah, he's always telling her, like, after everything we've been through, after everything we've seen, you still have questions. You still can't. But I don't think she was like, in the early seasons, I don't think that she was like ready, right? She can't accept it because it's not logical to her.
Yes. And that's great. Again, that's great writing of us seeing her go on this transformation over time. And thank you again for the Will Meister for another $10 super chat. Michelle mentioned the X-Files was the first show, or the first show its kind. Not entirely X-Files was hugely inspired by a 70s show called, how do I say this? Kolchak? The Night Stalker. He even shows up in an unofficial crossover. Oh, what episode? You have to let me know. That's cool. And thank you again for the $5 super chat. Are you a fan of crossover episodes with the Simpsons, Cops, Millennium? Did they do a Simpsons episode? They did the Cops episode. That one was fun in season 7. I don't know do you remember that one? Where they literally just do an episode of Cops, like back in the day, bad boys, like, and it's with them in it.
Hold on. Let me look it up.
It's in season 7 and it's the Cops episode. I don't know what it's called, but it was actually fun. That's the word I would use for it. It was a lot of fun. And while you're looking that up, let me grab this. Thank you, Albert, for the $5 super chat. Lots of weird stuff happened in Smallville, Kansas. I wonder why Mulder and Scully never showed up. The copyright monster. That's probably true. And hello to Keto and Crime. I was just on her show yesterday talking about the X-Files. So if you want to check out our conversation, go check out Keto and Crime. Again, we did that yesterday. We had a great chat. So go check that out there. And thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Scully writing her reports on the 90s laptop was life.
Oh, I loved it. Okay, I know. I remember this episode. Yes. Okay, I remember
The cops.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
What does he say? They bleep out the F word, and Scully's like, "We're on TV," and he's like, "Well, no, it can't be real TV." She just said, and then he says it, and they bleep it out. It was pretty funny. It was. I actually did like that one. It was called The Simpson Files. Oh, they did. So they did the X Files on The Simpsons, is I think what he's saying there. You know, I like watched some of The Simpsons as a kid, but I've not like really watched The Simpsons.
No, I haven't really watched The Simpsons. I've watched episodes here and there.
And X-Cops, yeah, that's what it's called. But yeah, that one is a lot of fun. But as we kind of close out, any final thoughts that you have on the X-Files, Steph? Since you've been a fan for many years now. Oh, guys, yeah, you see, I got my Fox Mulder
X-Files was
poster
when
back
I
there.
was first introduced to David Duchovny, and he was probably he was my very first like celebrity crush. I was introduced to David Duchovny, and I was like,
his hair.
I love Mulder. I want to marry Mulder. The way Spooky Review loves Dana Scully, that's how I am about Fox Mulder. Like, I was introduced to him at a young age, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my husband right there. I want to marry Fox Mulder. I want to marry David Duchovny. I think like later on I found out that like he was married to like Taya Leone, and then
Yes.
when they got divorced, I was like, oh my god, there's a chance for me. If I ever meet him in real life, there's a chance. Yeah,
You're like, so you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance. There's a chance. But yeah, I was introduced to Fox Mulder, and I haven't been the same since. I really love David Duchovny.
Oh
awesome.
Man, like he really is
and I
swoon-worthy.
absolutely like the chemistry between those two characters just makes that show. It makes that
Chef's kiss.
It's so good. Chef's kiss, yeah.
It truly is excellent. And speaking of, I've got to give a shout out to DL, who was the one who made my day last week and sent me the Barbies. So thank you so much, DL. And thank you so much, Keto and Crime, for the $5 super chat. I wouldn't kick either of them out of bed.
Yeah.
It's two good-looking people. That's all you can say about that.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Two very good-looking people. But yeah, he's a fox. I mean, you know, his name came. It was a good name when you have a son who looks like that. So let's see. My final thoughts on the show. I thoroughly loved, if you guys can't tell, I thoroughly loved the show. I loved watching the show. I'm going to rewatch the show. It automatically, when watching it for the first time, became like a new favorite comfort show of mine that I have. I have a few of them. I don't know if you do, Steph. I can name them for you guys. Chuck, Castle, New Girl, shows like that they're like comfort food. They're just so good. Like New Girl is good. It's a good one. I've watched it all the way through like 5 times.
Oh, have you?
But,
my comfort shows are probably The Office, and
The Office is a good one. That's a good comfort show.
The Office, Friends, and Reba. I don't know if you watched.
My mom is watching Reba.
Very few people know about and have watched the show Reba, but you know what?
Oh, my mom knows Steph. She loves it. It's like, I think she's rewatching it right now.
Oh,
so clearly she feels the same way. It's that comfort show for her.
Yeah, I found it, and I'm like, what is this show with Reba McEntire? I got sucked in. I just got sucked into that show, and I've gone through it multiple times. Like those are my comfort shows. I used to actually fall asleep to The Office for a long time.
It's a good in fact, Trace, she said that she named 2 of yours yesterday. The Office and Friends were 2 of her favorite comfort shows. Yeah, they are. But yes, pretty much, guys, first time watching through, love the show. It immediately became a new comfort show, and by that I mean I know I will probably go through the show many times all the way through. I love the 90s aesthetic going back. I was a 90s kid and I love going
Mhm.
back and just getting that authentic 90s feel that you get with the show. I love the dynamic, the writing, the music, the story arcs, and then of course, like as I've said so many times, the characters and the two actors that played them just do such a phenomenal job of bringing the show to life. And I'm a big fan. I'm a big X-Files fan. But Steph, thank you so much for joining me
Yeah.
tonight and
Fun. I need
having
to.
this
This makes me want to
conversation.
rewatch them now.
Yes, you should. You
Yeah, it
should.
makes me
Yeah,
want to
you've got
rewatch the series. I need to finish it out, so I need to watch the final season because I didn't watch
Oh,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and then that'll make you just
Yeah.
wanna go back and start it over.
I will.
So, yeah.
I think so.
Definitely do that. Yeah, again, guys, I'm gonna be finishing Twin Peaks, and I'm watching The Golden Girls, and then I plan on rewatching X-Files for the fall. I just feel like it'll be a good fall show since they're out in the
Oh,
woods in
yeah.
Vancouver so often, I mean, where they filmed. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Steph, thank you so much for taking your time and coming on to discuss my new love of the X-Files with me.
Spooky time. Yes,
And
it's spooky time.
J
Dude,
JB,
know if you like the X-Files, he has such a great channel. He has such a great,
I'm
and
gonna
he's
I'm gonna go
criminally
subscribe, JB.
undersubscribed channel. He's so great. His videos are awesome.
I'm definitely gonna go subscribe.
Yeah.
But you guys out there, all the chat, you guys been so generous tonight, so awesome. We appreciate every one of you. And for those of you out there who maybe don't have the DVD set like Steph and I of the X-Files and you want to watch it, it is currently streaming. All but the 2 movies are currently streaming on Hulu right now. So you can check it out there. But you guys have a blessed rest of your week. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember the truth is out there, but remember to be a force of light. All right. Bye, guys.